Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am thrilled because one of my Bronx buddies, is here. She's a tremendous artist. And so let's just get right to it and say hello to Laura Alvarez. Nice to see you again, Laura.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
This is very exciting. I know you've got the new book and everything else. We're going to talk about the children's book, but I do want to talk about so people will know who you are. You know that I know that you've been a wonderful muralist in the Bronx. Let's see, you did that's over there in High Bridge, the
Yes.
steps in High Bridge, and also you did some a beautiful mural in Norwood. Talk to me about you learning artwork and beginning painting and doing some of these wonderful things in the Bronx.
Well, I did artwork since forever, but I did study fine arts in Spain and in England. And after that, I really wasn't much into art. That's weird, but I found graphic design. So I did graphic design for many years until I came to New York in 2009. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do graphic design or maybe I can do something else. And I ended up going more into illustration, into art, into murals, and
Do
that's
you
how
do
it
you,
happened.
do you have a preference? I mean, do you say, "Oh, this is what I really love," or any time that you are expressing yourself visually, you feel okay?
I think um, each thing that I want to express, it might need a different technique. So
Uh-huh.
I switch techniques as feel that it fits better, because I love illustration and that's the easiest thing to do with a pad or pencil. That's it. Or even
Right.
like when I'm taking notes, I'm like literally drawing. But then if you want to reach more people, you want to do take your art out of the studio, you want to do murals or like now a children's book with illustration.
There we go. And unlike others who write children's books, they didn't have to find an illustrator because you were a ready made illustrator. Talk to me about Eggie's adventure. You've got a copy of the book. We're going to show some pictures of it. There it is, Eggie's Adventures at Poe Cottage. So this is
Yes.
definitely a Bronx book. Tell me about the beginning of it. Is it something you woke up one day and said, I ought to do this? Or
No.
tell me a little bit about this.
I actually didn't feel that I could write anything at all. And when I was working at with the visitor center at the Poe Park, and we had this. She used to teach writing classes, like
Right.
it was like short stories and fiction, and she kept telling me that I should write a children's book, and I'm like, I cannot write anything. Like this is not gonna happen. I have a lot of ideas in my head, but they don't really come out as stories. And she kept pushing and pushing. I'm like, okay, I'll try something. And that's when I wrote the beginning of the book, and she really helped me develop that story and the character. And I ended up having a book because that's what I wanted to do. It ideally, like before I even met her.
Right.
Yeah, and I ended up having a dummy. That's this like the sketchbook that you make all the drawings and all the pages on the book,
Right.
and I just left it in the shelf.
And you left it in the shelf. You didn't do anything with it. At what point did you like? What made you pick it up and say, "Hey, maybe I ought to do something"?
You know, I always thought, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna finish some of the drawings, and I'm gonna try to find a publisher, and that's the way I'm gonna go with it. But years kept passing by, and
Oh, years, years. I was thinking a
years.
couple of weeks, but no, years.
Oh
So
no,
this really has been a lifetime of putting this
this is
together,
like 7 years in the making.
and that's something.
And like I'll get to it, but I wasn't getting to it. So I know myself, I know as an artist, I can do a lot of things, but I'm very dispersed. Like I can focus in just one thing. So I was like, okay, let me see, how can I make this happen? And I decided to apply for one of the grants for the Bronx Council on the Arts
Uh huh.
for new work. It's called that grant. And I was like, okay, it's a pandemic, so I have some time, more than usual regular time. I can work on the illustrations, I can work on this, and I can probably self-publish the book and just like do a short run. But I got the grant, and then I was thinking, why would I do a short run? Why can't I just go
Why don't
all
you
in?
really do it? And so there must be, I mean, it's easy for us to say, well, she held up the book and all that, but there must be great pride in having that in your hands because you
Yes,
you actually worked for years. Now we've learned all the
yes.
way through. So this idea of Eggie is
Mhm.
talk about Eggie, and the other part of it is you really are urging people to go to Poe Cottage, take
Yeah.
the kids and go see it. So just talk to me about the creation of the character and Eggie's big adventure going to Poe Cottage.
Yeah. So when I was working at the visitor center right across Poe Cottage, it was like pretty interesting. I love looking at animals, and that they are a big part of my artwork, animals and nature and plants. So when I was working there, I used to see all these squirrels, and I realized it was like these little black squirrels that I used to love, and how they will go in to find the nuts and then hide them and then take them out, and all that process they go through. And I was thinking how cute it would be that the great grandfather of one of these squirrels was the best friends of Edgar Allan Poe,
There
and
you go. There
and
you
that's how
go.
it started.
And so you kind of made it a person. You kind of personalized it, and uh, for you, Poe Cottage. Now, I wasn't aware that you had been working at the visitor center over there. Just talk to me about why you think this is a worthwhile place for children or really anybody to visit.
I think there's a lot of like gems in the Bronx that a lot of people
Hmm.
don't know of.
Boy, is that
And
ever true?
yes, and
Yeah,
people walking by every day, living across the street from Poe Cottage, they don't know that's a museum. They don't know Edgar Allan Poe lived there. They don't know Edgar Allan Poe lived in the Bronx. And there's so many things that you can learn from learning that he was there. The Batman was born because Edgar Allan Poe was there, and
that's
and
right.
and it was born because of all that connection with the darkness and the city. So it's like so many things that are like intertwined that you can come out with, like just knowing that is there and that the museum is there, you can visit.
Have you had children go through the book now and said, "Oh wow, isn't that cute?" And get some reactions from children at this point yet?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
look at her
Because I
smile. That
Yeah,
lit you up there.
because
That's
I did
great.
send all my. I ended up also doing a Kickstarter because self-publishing a book is really expensive. So I did send out all the books already to the Kickstarter funders, and a lot of other ones that they have ordered online too. And it's been pretty amazing getting all those pictures of the kids looking at the books and
Well, that's
reading
fantastic.
it or making like they're reading it.
I'm always interested in people from outside the Bronx. Were these only Bronx children or people from children from all over?
All over,
Oh,
all
isn't that
over.
wonderful?
Yes.
So
Yes,
you,
a lot of people that has been in the Bronx, so that they know or they like Edgar Allan
that's
Poe, and
great.
they feel that it's really cool to introduce them to the kids, like somehow.
Well,
So
for kids, let's just say maybe even older children who, might not, this book might not be appropriate for them, but they read Edgar Allan Poe stories or poems or anything, that he's done, and then never knew that he came from here and he had lived here. And so, you're doing a great job in promoting the Bronx along the way. One of the other things that occurred to me as soon as I saw it and read through it of Eggie moving through and promoting Poe Cottage, Eggie then now becomes a character you can apply to other places. I mean, you could take if you're talking Bronx, you could take him to the botanical gardens. You could take Eggie to the zoo, right? I mean, am I now giving you something that you already knew?
I have a whole I have a whole series of books already planned in my head.
Wow, isn't
I
that
just need
wonderful?
somebody to publish them for me.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe you make a couple of dollars. Listen, I was just talking with a Bronx author, another Bronx author, who told me if I get lucky, my book will be banned in Tennessee, and then all of a sudden everybody will buy it. That's what's going on. Let me ask you this: how long did it take you to make those pictures? I mean, I realize you spent a lot of time on all kinds of artwork. But did the book itself take you longer because you were telling a story as opposed to, the mural that you put up in Norwood or the streets that you drew and then you're just painting it out? So
It's
just talk to
different.
me about that.
Yeah, it's different. I did have the idea of the images I wanted to create, like kind of the sketches. I when I started in June, I got the grant, and then in July I started like thinking, okay, I really need to work on this. I started like working on different Eggies and different ways of using the illustration. Did I want to do it digital? Did I want to do like more graphic or less, or with? It's a whole story that you go through your head, and it's like, okay, I need to figure it out. I need to decide, because I could have gone in many ways, more like with more lines or less lines. I went with more texture and more like if it was cutouts. But it's like, it's all decisions that you have to make, and it's like, okay,
Right.
I'm going with this. And it took me literally 2 months to do all the illustrations, and I did all the marketing, like all
Right.
the book putting together and everything.
We're almost out of time. Do you paint or draw every day, or
Oh
is it you do? Even if it's just a private thing and you're not working on anything, you just have to. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in, which we've talked about, not you and me, but on this program for years, in an artist's muse, what inspires them. But it sounds to me like you just have to keep creating every single day. Anyway, all right. So the book is Eggie's Adventure. Hold it up again. Oh, there we go. Eggie's Adventures at Poe Cottage. From Laura Alvarez Fernandez. And she talks a little bit, it makes a little personal statement there. And the next book is coming out when? It's too early to say.
When I get the money. No, the next book is the bilingual edition, though. It's going to be Spanish and English together.
Oh, that sounds like it'll really appeal to Bronx kids. I love that. Anyway, Laura Alvarez, congratulations. It's a wonderful thing, not only for you to be able to put it out, but to help promote our borough, our beautiful, wonderful borough. It's a great thing. Thank you so much. And thank you also to Yoav Gonen, who joined us from the city earlier in the program. And that'll do it for the Bronx Buzz. Next week, I don't know, we'll do some more. Actually, we're going to talk to a writer who writes about environmental issues. And then in our second segment, talk about the great Bronx River Arts Center, which is one of the great places in our borough. So that's it. Maybe Eggie will go over to BRAC, to the Bronx River Arts Center one day. Good night.